Hi everyone, I am Ankita Majumdar. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to teach you class 7th SST Political Science chapter 4th Growing Up as Boys and Girls. First topic is growing up in Samoa in the 1920s. The Samoan Islands are part of a large group of small islands in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean. According to the research reports, the children of the Samoans society did not go to school. This report was prepared in 1920s. Instead of going to school, such children learned many things such as how to take care of children or do household works from older children and from adults. Fishing was a very important activity on the islands. Young people therefore learned to undertake long fishing expeditions, but they learn these things at different points of their childhood. The mother or other adults no longer looked after the babies as soon as they started walking. Older children, often as young as 5 years old, took over this responsibility. Both boys and girls looked after their younger siblings, but by the time a boy was about 9 years old, he joined the older boys in learning outdoor jobs like fishing and planting coconuts. Girls had to continue looking after small children or do errands for adults till they were teenagers. But once they became teenagers, they had much more freedom. After the age of 14 or so, girls also went on fishing trips, worked in the plantations, learned how to weave baskets. The work of cooking was done in special cooking houses. The boys were supposed to do most of the work in cooking houses while girls helped with the preparation. Next topic is growing up in Madhya Pradesh in the 1960s. The following is adapted from an account of experiences in being in a small town in Madhya Pradesh in the 1960s. Boys and girls went to separate school from 6th class onwards. The girls' school was designed very differently from the boys' school. They had a certain central courtyard where they played safely from the outside world. The boys' school had no such courtyard, and our playground was just a big space attached to the school. Every evening, once school was over, the boys watched as hundreds of schoolgirls crowded the narrow streets. As these girls walked on the streets, they looked so purposeful, but for boys, the streets are only a place to stand around idling, to play, to try out tricks with their bicycles. For the girls, the street was simply a place to get straight home. The girls always walk in groups, perhaps because they also carried fears on being teased or attacked. From the above two examples, we realize that there are many different ways of growing up. Often we think that there is only one way in which children grow up. This is because we are most familiar with our own experiences. If we talk to elders in our family, we will see that their childhoods were probably different from ours. In our societies, The distinction between boys and girls begins from the very birth of a child. The birth of a male child is celebrated, whereas the birth of a girl child is still a matter of shame at some places. Though this thinking is changing very fast because girls are providing themselves in every field, there are some other differences between boys and girls. We are, for example, given different toys to play with. Boys are usually given cars to play with and girls dolls. Both toys can be a lot of fun to play with. Why are girls then given dolls and boys cars? Toys become a way of telling children that they will have different futures when they become men and women. If we think about it, this difference is created in the smallest and most everyday things. How girls must dress, what games boys should play, how girls need to talk softly, how girls need to talk softly or boys need to be rough or tough. All these are ways to telling children that they have specific roles to play when they grow up to be men and women. Later in life, this affects the subjects we can study on the careers we can choose. So, the woman's role or the work is not equally valued to men's roles. They do not have the same status. Let us examine how the difference exists in the work done by men and women. So, the next point is valuing housework. There is unique feeling among families that the house job is not the real work. The same thing happened in Hermit's family for Jasprit's work. Across the world, the main responsibility for housework and caregiving tasks like looking after the family, especially children, the elderly, and sick members, lies with women. Yet, as we have seen, the work that women do within the home is not recognized as work. It is also assumed that this is something that comes naturally to women. The society devalues the housewife's task because they are not paid for their work. So, read this story so that you will understand better that women are working hard. Housework, house task is also very much hard, but they are not getting that much importance. So read the story once so that you will be more clear. Okay, now next point is lives of domestic workers. In this story above, Hermit's mother was not the only one who did the housework. A lot of the work was done by Mangla, their domestic helper. Many homes, particularly in towns and cities, employ domestic workers. They do a lot of work sweeping and cleaning, washing clothes and dishes, cooking, looking after young children or the elderly. But mostly the domestic work is done by women. Sometimes even young boys or girls are employed to do this work. Wages are low as domestic work does not have much value. A domestic worker's day can begin as early as 5 in the morning and end as late as 12 at night. Despite the hard work they do, their employers often do not show them much respect. This is what Milani, a domestic worker, had to say about her experience of working in Delhi. My first job was with a rich family that lived in a three-storied house. The Mem Sahib was very peculiar as she would shout to get any work done. My work was in the kitchen. There were two other girls who did the cleaning. Our day would begin at 5 o'clock. We would get a cup of tea and two dry rotis in the breakfast. We never dared to ask for third roti because we knew that we won't get it. In the evening, when I cooked the food, the two other girls would beg me to give them an extra roti. I would secretly give it to them and make an extra one for myself. We were so hungry after working through the day. We could not wear chappals in the house. In the winter, our feet would swell up with the cold. I used to feel scared of the Mem Sahib but also felt angry and humiliated. Did we not work all day? Did we not deserve to be treated with some respect? In fact, the housework involves many different tasks, and a heavy physical work is needed for these tasks. In both rural and urban areas, women and girls have to fetch water. In rural areas, women and girls carry heavy headloads of firewood. Tasks like washing clothes, cleaning, sweeping, and picking up loads require bending, lifting, and carrying. Many chores like cooking involve standing for long hours in front of hot stoves. The work women do is strenuous and physically demanding, words that we normally associate with men. Another aspect of housework and caregiving that we do not recognize is that it is very time consuming. In fact, if we add up the housework and the work women do outside the home, we find that women spend much more time working than men and have much less time for leisure. Next topic is women's work and equality. As we have observed, the low value attached to women's household and caregiving work is not an individual or family matter. It is part of a larger system of inequality between men and women. It therefore has to be dealt with through actions not just at the level of individual or the family but also by the government. It is clear now that equality is an important principle of our constitution. The constitution does not permit for discrimination just on the basis of being a male or female, but in real life the equality between men and women still exists. The government is therefore committed to understand the reason of this and taking positive steps to remedy the situation. For example, it recognizes that burden of child care and household falls on women and girls. This naturally has an impact on whether girls can attend school. It determines whether women can work outside the house and what kind of jobs and careers they can have. The government has set up Anganwadis or child care centers in several villages in the country. The government has passed laws that make it mandatory for organization and have more than 30 women employees to provide creche facilities. The provision of creches helps many women to take up employment outside the home. It also makes it possible for more girls to attend school. So, understood students, this chapter growing up boys as boys and girls. So, here we have completed chapter 4th. Next chapter I will explain in my next video, and your homework will be exercise. You have to complete your exercise. I will send the PDF and you have to write it in your notebook in good handwriting. That's all for today's topic. Thank you.